What is it? Oh my God. Oh, it's a long night. It's raining. Well, it's not raining right at the very moment, but it was raining. I like the rain though, so I ain't really tripping off that. Tonight, I want to talk about the old gods. I don't really have nothing else to talk about. I was talking to my brother earlier, and we speaking about it. I'm going to talk about the old gods and how they went from used to be worshipped. Motherfuckers used to make sacrifices for them. Build temples in their names. Got rules and, you know what I'm saying, laws that correlate with them deities. Like Hinduism, Greek god, Norse gods, African gods, Asian and Japanese and Chinese gods, right? All these, besides Christianity, right, which is the only religion that got God, the Holy Trinity, I guess. God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, whatever the case may be, right? But when you think about all the other gods and mythologies, as they call it now, they have a God for everything. There's a God of war, there's a God of love, there's a God of even wine, God of speed, God of time. There's a God for almost everything you could think about. There's a God for that particular thing. In each and almost every culture. The main thing, though, like a God of life, a God of death, a God of nature, God of water, God of fire. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. Things that make sense, not no far-fetched shit. Probably ain't no gods of time, for real, right? Besides Kronos. Right? So, what happened? Right? What happened before Jesus AD or BC, whatever, that motherfuckers just ultimately just said, these guys ain't real no more. Right? Because if you think about all the stories of, Viking gods, Norse gods, if you want to call them, Greek gods, Egyptian gods, Hindu gods, in the Japanese and Asian culture and Chinese culture, gods. They gods was active in their history. Meaning, you can trace the lineage of the god. This guy was the son of that god. This god mother was this. And so on and so forth. Right? With an intricate story all tying it together. From beginning to end. That's every other religion culture. Zeus and them got a story. Thor and Odin, they got the story. And that's not even get started in China. In Asia, in Japanese, they gods. They got a shit ton of them. And they all got stories and backgrounds. Right? That you can trace. Temples. Landmarks. And shit that you can go to them places and find. Hindu. In India. Same shit. They have a shit ton of gods. That actually, in their history, actually came down, met with the people, helped the people, fought alongside the people against probably another god, an evil god of theirs they was going against. An evil god. You hear what I'm saying? And it's like that in every culture besides Christianity. How Christianity is the only religion that God is God. He don't go no. He got no backstory. He's just God, all knowing and all powerful. But not once did it say he came from this. And this how God manifested, or the will of the universe created a God. You know, I would have accepted that. After the Big Bang, the universe was chaotic. Consciousness was all over the place. Didn't have no direction. too many voices, or too many thoughts, or didn't have enough direction for its thoughts, so it was chaotic. So it just formed a God conscious. I don't know. I would accept a story similar to that for a God versus none at all. He came down, met it with a woman, had a son, created angels, created humans and shit. Gave humans, check this out. They gave us free will to do as we please. But angels don't got their free will to do shit. Oh, besides Lucifer. Oh, Morning Star. He fucking got... God gave him free will, though. And the power of creation. So, of course your son gonna rebel. That shit's stupid as hell. But I just don't like the fact that, Christianity is the only religion that don't have no other gods. There's just a God and angels. There's archangels. That's, a little bit stronger than regular angels. Yeah? Right. Bullshit. They don't got no free will. So their power is really non-existent. They only could do bidding. But every other culture gods, nigga, good or evil, be plotting against each other and shit. That's to make that more believable. I don't care if you call it a myth now or this or that. Them gods makes more sense because you could trace their lineage. You could trace the backstory of these gods. You can find out who their parents were, where it all originated from. That's the difference. With Christianity, it sounds like a story because it's damn near is a story. Took it from the ancient Sumerian tablets. Took it from other religions and just pasted it on there. Hinduism is the oldest religion in the world. How can you not believe that they gods are real? Tell me. How? Hinduism is older than Egyptians. Gods. So I don't know how the fuck that y'all think Christianity, the youngest fucking religion, God is the all-seeing God. No. Some money-hungry motherfuckers back in the day found out, some money-hungry people or group of motherfuckers back in the day probably was like, I know how we could rip the masses. Religion. Everybody love religion. Let's force the world. They forced the Christianity on the world. Bro, how your book talk about peace, love, and forgiveness where y'all just going around slaughtering and killing motherfuckers and forcing them to believe it? Other religions ain't doing that. You ain't gonna never hear a story about no other religions doing that. Not even satanic religions. They're not going to slaughtering whole villages and towns to try to get believers. If y'all don't want to believe in, we gonna kill you. No other religion on this planet do that shit. Egyptian gods. Bro, Ra is the god of almost all. The sun god. But he's the sun god. Then there's a moon god. Right? Then there's Horus. Then there's the other god, Anubis. God of the underworld. Then there's some, I don't know all the other guys, is Emmet or some shit like that. There's a few of them. But some of them gods are offsprings of other gods. Like, see how that tie together? Not all of them just regular gods. Some actually was born, meaning that those gods could mate with each other. So how all of a sudden those gods go from mating, creating other gods and all that to all of a sudden disappear? Same thing with all the other cultures around the world, religion. I feel like that shit was probably true in each neighborhood, or not neighborhood. Each location, right? That shit could be true. No cap. it can be true that those gods existed. They was probably like the X-Men. They wasn't gods, right? They was just probably people born different. Extraordinary gifts. Just hear me. In 4 different corners of the world. Because I only said Egyptian gods, Greek gods, Viking gods, Asians, Chinese, Japanese. Don't forget the Aztecs gods, the Mayan gods. They had their own gods as well. Own civilizations and shit. Thriving in temples based on to these gods. Cthulhu. Basically, Cthulhu is the fucking Kraken. He has temples to this day. Worshipping him. I don't know if people still go to worship him, but his temple is still up. You could walk inside it. So who knows who's worshipped there or not still. Right? But whatever religions and gods that was around was physical entities. Or something similar to it. And as I keep saying, something came and fucked with our DNA, right? And made us servants. Basically, Anunnaki came and fucked everything up when they came. Right? And I believe those other gods was damn near real. And the Anunnaki knew that people were subservient to fucking religion and shit, so they just killed off all the gods. All the things that looked at as God, revered to as gods. And just kept their stories around. And put those people in their place. So after they came and wiped out the gods from every other culture, they implemented Jesus. Or they implemented farming us, right? And tampering with our DNA first so they could control us later on in the future. Or whatever you want to call it. And when it got to the point where they almost did 95% of the world damn near, then they start introducing their own gods. Again, in their fashion. So they start doing Hindu gods, Egyptian gods, Greek gods, Viking gods, Aztec gods, Mayan gods. They probably start mimicking them. After they off them. So now their faith that everybody was giving them is actually going to the Anunnaki. Since they already fucking botched our DNA and made us a fucking servant race, which I don't want to talk about right now because that shit's a heated topic. Yeah, like any other night, guys, I was just rambling. Something that was on my mind today. Alright, thanks for listening if you did listen. You have a good one.